This is the final part of the 3-part series where I upgrade the console of my 1997 Yamaha RXG to that of the Yamaha Crux R, which has an electronic tachometer. If you guys haven't watched the previous part 2 and part 1, link is down in the description box below. Please do watch it so that you will get an idea of how far we've come throughout this journey of this project. Hey guys, Brady Biker here. Hope you're all doing well. So in the previous video, that is part 2 of the series, I worked on the fitment aspect of this new console onto this old motorcycle. It was a little bit of a challenge, but thankfully not a major challenge, because all I had to do was change the top T-plate to the last model RX 135 so that the mounting holes match with the Crux R's meter base plate. And I also had to take the base plate off, cut it and then invert it and then rebuild it back so that there will be adequate clearance or space with the console and the headlight housing so it won't hit and break itself. And of course the tachometer was also wired up in a temporary way and I showed you the connections. Now that I'm very happy with the fitment aspect, the last thing that needs to be done is wiring. That's exactly what I'm going to do now. So let's jump into it. I started the work by taking notes of the wire colors of the ones present on the console from the Crux R. This is so that it would be easy for me to identify them during installation. But in this case, that wasn't necessary. Maybe because both the console and the motorcycle was made by Yamaha at different point of times, the color codes of the wiring were exactly the same, except for the right indicator, but others were exactly the same. So it was a rather easy job of just matching the colors of the lights present on the console and the wires that are coming from the wiring harness from the motorcycle. But I had to do some jugaad for this tachometer and speedometer illumination. Why? Let me explain. So as the wiring work begins, I started with the most difficult one of wiring two bulbs to one. Why? Because the stock setup has one speedometer and it only has one illumination light, but in this case we have a speedometer and a tachometer. So at the night we'll need to illuminate both of them, but the wiring is only there for one light for the stock setup. So what I did is I kind of hot wired it. So as you guys can see, this blue wire has been soldered by the factory on the old meter, and this blue wire connects where another blue wire is coming from the wiring harness. This blue wire connects here, and then there is a black wire. So this black wire, as you guys see, I've just given a small test connection, and then this black wire goes here, right here. This is also coming from the wiring harness. Kind of difficult to show, but I'll try to detail the wiring colors on the description box below so you guys can use it. So that one comes here. Everything else should be very easy. So these are the two wires now for the tachometer and the speedometer. So others would be very easy. You don't have this hot wiring job, you just need to wire each bulb to each one of them. As you guys can see, the bulbs, the holders are different. This is a more older one and this is a rather newer one. It's just a plug and play type. This one you have to plug and turn for it to sit properly, an older one. So that's what we're going to do here now. With that jugaad out of the way, now I have to connect these wires permanently in such a way that each of them are properly insulated from each other so they don't touch, short out and cause a fire or something. And number 2, they must have a strong connection and must not wiggle out or must not break in even light wiggles or vibrations that's caused by undulations in road and stuff. They must be very strong. Another 2 important factors is that it must be removable and reusable, because if or when I change the entire wiring harness of this motorcycle, I can simply reuse the wiring that I've done on this new console and I can directly connect it to the new wiring harness that's of this older motorcycle. So the job would be a lot easier when I get to it. So the right way was soldering them. This will help me achieve all the 4 important factors that I've told you in the previous clip. As you guys can see, I'm removing the insulation of the previous wire using a heat shrink tube, sliding it over first and soldering all the appropriate wires and sliding the heat shrink tube back over the soldered area, applying some heat onto it so that it shrinks and insulates the connection perfectly. This ensures a very strong connection that's insulated properly, and end of the day everything looks pretty clean, unlike the electrical tape magic most mechanics do, which finally ends up looking like a rat's nest. So as you guys can see, the wires has been soldered. This is your neutral light. All the wires has been color matched and soldered, and all the heat shrink has been installed. So here's your left indicator, and then here's your right indicator. guys can see this one. Let me restart the bike again. I want to show how the high beam works. Alright, so now if I switch on the night mode, both the lights illuminate up. This is for our speedometer and the tachometer. You guys can see. So I switch it on, the high beam light comes on. As you guys can see, this is our speedo and tacho, a neutral switch. All the lights are working perfectly. So very happy about how it has come out. Now the next job is to put the console back and wire all this up. So as you guys can see, initial wiring has been done. All the bulbs has been put, it's all been soldered. A little bit of a messy job, but definitely I can do that better next time when I rebuild the bike. So this is the basic idea. So let me switch on the ignition. Rather difficult because the ignition is not connected anywhere. Yeah, so once you switch on, you can see the neutral light. It's right here, and here's your left indicator, here's your right indicator. So let's start the bike now. And now if I switch on the night mode, as you guys can see, both of them are illuminating and working well. And if I switch on the headlight and turn on the high beam light is working. Okay, so now the bulbs have been wired up. The next job is to wire up the tachometer again, but this time permanently. Basically, we cannot do a direct tachometer to battery connection on this case if you're going to set it up permanently, because what happens in that case is that since it's connected directly, that is the tachometer's positive and negative terminals to the battery's positive and negative terminals, there is no switch to switch it on and switch it off. So it's always going to receive power, and the tachometer is always going to drink some juice off the battery even when the motorcycle is switched off and all the others are not receiving power. This means the battery will be draining, and within one night will be completely drained. Another thing is that it will damage your RR unit, because one of the work of RR unit is to help the battery to maintain its charge when not being used. So when you have something that's always going to chew some battery, it's called as parasitic power draw, and that's going to completely kill your RR unit. And this is the third one. I don't want to kill this one because I learned this lesson from killing two of them. So I had to find a way to connect this tachometer to the bike's electrical system in such a way that it will receive power only when the bike is switched on, and when the bike is switched off, it does not receive power and it doesn't unnecessarily drink the juice of the battery, and the battery and the RR unit stays safe. So what I figured is that I can still have a little bit of a direct connection, but not completely. That is, I can hook the battery's negative terminal directly to the tachometer's negative terminal, and then I can also have the source, that is the one that receives the signal to show the readings, that I can connect either to the white wire with the green line, that's your pulse wire that comes from the CDI, or I can connect it to the yellow wire that goes to the ignition coil. But I have to connect the battery positive to some sort of a switch, something that will turn on when I turn on the motorcycle, and something that will turn off and cut the power when I switch off the motorcycle. Aha, the ignition switch. To make this process a little cleaner, I've bought this. This is called as your Scotch connector. Basically what this does is this helps in hot wiring wires, that is that you can attach a wire onto a running wire without damaging it much. So let's get this done. I'll just show you how this thing works. So as you guys can see, two holes, and then one hole is blocked here. So on your right side hole you will have a running wire, and on the left side hole you can insert the wire that you want to tap into. And then what you can do is this is like a cover. You have to bend it and press it. So as you guys can see, this metal tab on top of it, what happens when you press is that it will go cut the wire's insulation and attach, and since it's metal it will conduct itself. So that's how these wires are attached. Very clean, very nice way. Link is in the description box below. You guys can get it, used for all sorts of wiring jobs. So let's get that done now. So if you're going to use the Scotch connectors like I did, I'd suggest you to manually remove the insulations of the wire that you're going to connect. This means that the installation of the Scotch connector would be a lot easier, because I found that small metal tab to be having a very tough time to cut through the insulation. So if you do it manually and then connect, it's going to be a breeze, very easy to do. Alright, let us take a look at our ignition switch. And as you guys can see, this is just below that, and you can see 4 wires. So the red one is the positive that comes from the battery. It's always going to receive power. And there is a green one, and this green wire will receive power only when we switch on the key, and when we switch it off, it will not receive power, unlike the red one. So we need to wire the tachometer's positive wire onto this one. So I started to use this Scotch connector, and then unfortunately I was not able to distinguish between the red wire and the green wire. So in the first try, I unfortunately inserted it on the red wire and then hoped everything was alright. And then next day the battery was drained. Oh man, you should have seen the look on my face. So I didn't really bother to take off the Scotch connector off the wrong one. I simply took another connector and then installed it on the green wire and routed it to the tachometer's positive side properly. The green wire passes through here onto the ignition switch, and then this red wire, hot wire, that is attaches to it with the Scotch connector, goes to the positive side of the tachometer. So when the ignition is switched off, the tachometer does not receive power. So this is what you guys should do. Make sure to not connect it on the red wire, but to connect it on the green wire of the ignition side. Okay, so after successfully finishing the wiring work and undoing one small mess that I did, I proceeded to put everything back onto the motorcycle, and that's what you're seeing right now. Another small problem was that the ignition was just flying around everywhere. It was not installed or seated properly on this T-plate. So I had to make a mount and stuff. I did make a video on how to do that mount and stuff, but unfortunately all those footages got corrupted. I was not able to use them, but it was basically very simple. So here you guys can see the top T-plate of the last model 135, and then I've inverted it. You can see the 2 small holes. That's for the ignition. Here's the old ignition. You can clearly see the difference. And what I did is I just simply took a small wood piece, marked out the holes, and I simply fabricated the same thing on metal, and the mount was ready. Let's first fix this wiring mess now. Actually, you can use either the last model 135's ignition or the RXZ's ignition, which looks better, by the way. The small problem is convenience. If I change that to the last model 135's ignition lock set, I have to change the ignition, I have to change the tank caps lock, I have to change the toolbox lock and stuff. A little bit of an extra job for this one small thing. Or I could have simply bought a used last model, just the ignition key alone. But again, another problem is that I have to use 2 keys for everything. So again, not very convenient. So I just decided to make a small mount that I can use on this old ignition itself to sit on this new top T plate, so that I can still have the convenience of just 1 key for my ignition, petrol tank cap and the toolbox lock. So that's why I did it. Alright, so everything is set. Let me do a quick walk around of the motorcycle, and then we'll have a short ride so you guys can check it out and see how it is. So here's how the finished setup looks like. As you guys can see, everything has been assembled back. It looks good from certain angles, great from certain angles, but sometimes a little disproportionate from certain angles. So this is from the back of the bike, and then I come to the bike's right side. So there is a big gap between the handlebar and the actual console, but this was not a very big issue after I finished painting the console's base plate in black color. The gap was not that easily visible, especially when riding. So this is how it looks from the close-up, and this is how it looks from my perspective as a rider. And as you guys can see, no problems with the clearance. Very much good room is available between the headlight housing and the actual console. So now let's see the ridiculously inaccurate tachometer in action. So now we're back home. There is one big white giant elephant in the room. That is the tachometer's accuracy, as it is an electronic tachometer that's tuned for a 4-stroke engine of the Crux R from the factory, and this is an RX engine, of course a 2-stroke engine. It's bound to show twice the readings. I've explained why in part 1, so you guys can check that out. I am yet to find a solution for this, but if I do, I definitely make a follow-up video on how to do this, so that actually you can use it for Pulsar tachometers, Apache tachometers, or even the KG, the Chinese one. You guys can see the photo now, the Chinese tachometers that many people, Kerala RX guys use. They mount it on the handlebar near the mirrors and stuff, and you guys can use that technique to make sure that it's, when you hook it up to a 2-stroke engine like this of an RX 100, RXG, RX 135, RXZ 4-speed and 5-speed variants, or if you can hook it up to a TVS Suzuki AX series of motorcycles like the AX100, the Supra, the Samurai, the Shogun, Shaolin, Max 100R, all those 2-stroke engines, even those 4-stroke units from the Pulsar, Apache or whatever KK, these things can show almost accurate readings. Again, I don't know if I can do this. I'm still researching on what I can do, but if and when I find a solution about this, I'll definitely make a video. I don't know when it's coming, but I'll definitely try my best. I am looking forward to it. Shout out to Mr. Amrut and Mr. Nitin Aditya GB. Guys, I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. You guys suggested me some mods, especially with the emission side of things, where he told me to use the RXZ's lock set. But as I said before, for now, for time's sake, I'm just gonna stick with the old one. I've made a mount and made it sit, so that's not a problem. And another thing that you guys suggested me is the speedometer cable and the headlight housing, you know, the clearance, the gap between those two. So you guys can see this is your speedo wire and this is your headlight housing, and then the wire goes like this. So you guys can see there is a lot of clearance. It's not even touching the headlight housing. The wire is coming from here, from the worm gear, and then it's going through here and through here, and then it's attaching to the actual speedometer. So as you guys can see, it's not even touching the headlight housing, so that's not a problem. There is adequate clearance between those two, and it's not touching even when the bike is turned fully right and turned fully left, so it should be fine. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I for one, I'm very happy that this project has been finally completed after a very long time. If you guys didn't know, I started this project before the second wave, actually before even the first wave ended, and now we are here after the second wave has ended, before the third wave begins. I hope it doesn't, but unfortunately, looking at the things around us, so I think it's inevitable. But anyway, on a more positive side of things, project is done. So thanks for watching, guys. If you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you found this useful, maybe you guys can try this on your Yamaha RX series. Let me know if you want to know the cost of everything. I'll just type it down below, or I'll probably make another video about it if there is enough demand of questions, other types of questions regarding the setup on an RX series of motorcycle. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, if you enjoyed it, please do leave a like below. Please do comment down your video suggestions and video requests. I shall put in my best efforts to get it done for you guys. Do share this video with your fellow friends, fellow two-strokers who own Yamaha RX series of motorcycles, who are looking for different options when it comes to the console, especially with the tachometer side of things. Do subscribe to this channel if you want more such two-stroke content and stuff. Keep the blue smoke alive. Brady Baker signing off. Have a wonderful day.